Because I am a child, and when a child said something like "you are stealing my future," then people feel very guilty. Why should children go to school to educate themselves for a future that might not exist?
Millions of school children across America, and in fact around the world, skip school today. They weren't playing hooky. They were instead participating in a coordinated left-wing political protest. It was called Climate Strike. And so naturally, MSNBC was there to cheer them on.
New York City is the home base for these protests. School officials, public school officials, are allowing nearly 1 million students to cut classes.
Some of the signs, by the way, that I've seen so far for this rally are just absolutely fantastic.
Look, I am not in favor of encouraging people to skip class, but if there's a cause that isn't important, this is it. So good on you for going out there and telling people what really matters. Congratulations to you and those like you around the world.
Congratulations on skipping school. Throughout the day, news anchors assured their viewers that the strike was in fact being led by the kids. They were lying, of course. Like all activist movements, the climate strike was organized by cynical adults. Adults hoping to exploit children for political purposes, obviously. The other lie you heard today is that the strike was about the environment. It was not about the environment. The main goal of the protesters in this country, for example, was to implement Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal. You'll remember from just a few months ago that the Green New Deal is not about the environment. In fact, Ocasio-Cortez's chief of staff conceded as much. We're quoting now. We really think of it as a how do you change the entire economy thing, end quote. But that shouldn't surprise you.
Do you call yourself a radical?
Yeah, you know, if that's what radical means, call me a radical.
Our efforts will have effect. We will make great progress. And we are not alone. There's a new force of nature at hand, stirring all over the world. They are the young people whom, frankly, we have failed, who are angry, who are organized, who are capable of making a difference. Who are capable of making a difference. They are a moral army. And the most important thing that we can do for them is to get the hell out of their way.
New York City is the home base for these protests. School officials, public school officials, are allowing nearly 1 million students to cut classes. Public school officials. School officials are allowing nearly 1 million students to cut classes.
Some of the signs, by the way, that I've seen so far for this rally are just absolutely fantastic.
Look, I am not in favor of encouraging people to skip class, but if there's a cause that isn't important, this is it.
While switching gears, dangerous people are indoctrinating your children. Who are you talking about?
Well, increasingly, and this isn't only the case in the universities, people are being taught by ideologues, not by educators. And ideologues have a very simple way of looking at the world. They reduce it to a few principles like inequality and unfairness and power. Those would be the fundamental principles at the moment that are operating on the radical left. And they're on an ideological campaign. And that's increasingly the case in elementary, junior high, and high schools as well, mostly because the faculties of education are full of people who are radical.
Yeah, you know, if that's what radical means, call me a radical.
What's up, guys? This is Will Witt with PragerU, and today we're doing Storytime with Will. We have this book. The team at PragerU picked it out for me. Peaceful Fights for Equal Rights. It is a children's book. We got it at Barnes & Noble. The back says, shake a hand, lend a hand, have hope, and be hope. It's meant for kids ages 4 to 8. Because, you know, when you're 4 to 8 years old, that's what you should be doing, is protesting, not school or sports or anything. You should be protesting. Okay, let's get into this book. Assemble, take action, create allies. Resist. This is what little kids need to know about resisting. And look at these signs. Hashtag resist. There's the communist fist. Is that like the Labor Party communist fist? Boycott, boycott, boycott. Boycott grapes. We're off to a rough start. Call someone. Campaign. Camp out. This is super weird already. Okay. Be fearless. Fly a flag. File a lawsuit? What little kid is filing a lawsuit? Oh, and this guy. Real American hero kneeling for the flag at a football game. There's a baby at a construction site. That's unsafe. Strike. 4-year-olds don't have jobs. They're not striking from their jobs. Are they supposed to strike someone? Be non-violent. That's good. Tell that to Antifa. You can only do what you can do. This guy looks homeless, so do it. Just do it. Just do it, 4-year-olds. It's the little book of little activists. Activism. Taking action in order to create social change. Anyone can be... Wait, look at this. Can you see that? There's nothing written on the sign. It's just a bunch of scribbles.
There are dangerous people teaching your children.
People say the indoctrination starts in college or even as late as high school. It starts when you're 4 to 8 years old, when parents are getting their kids these books, or when they're seeing them in the bookstore, or their friend has it at school and they read it with them.
I should be back in school. Why should children go to school?
How many people in this room are confused about what is being demanded by young people? I thought so. That's what is happening on the streets right now. That is the call for action. And some people ask, oh, well, the message isn't really clear. I don't really know what's being asked for. They want us to be caught in a fight amongst each other about ambition versus reality. And it's our job to not give in to that false dichotomy and fight for what's right.
This is what happens when direct action prompts a public reaction. Anger erupted after a rush hour train was held up for more than 10 minutes, and neither station staff nor the police intervened.
You come to work in your cars. Someone needs to go to hospital or something.
With other Extinction Rebellion members gluing themselves to trains, commuters couldn't understand why public transport had become the latest target.
They're doing it the wrong way. They're doing it for the right reasons, but they're doing it the wrong way.
No one should do that anyway, regardless of what it is. That's just out of order and it's not right. They could have killed themselves anyway.
I think they've really shot themselves in the foot, to be fair. A lot of people getting public transport as opposed to getting their own transport.
You guys are not the target. We're so sorry.
Altogether, 3 trains were halted by rooftop protests.
People at the station aren't very happy here, you can see.
I think there is a real problem with climate change that has not been taken seriously enough. I actually agree with the overriding principle of this. The thing I feel uncomfortable about are 2 things. One, Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old girl with autism, becoming the face of all this and screaming abuse at adults and terrifying kids. I don't think that helps particularly. And secondly, I don't like...
Hang on, it's not screaming abuse.
I'm allowed... Well, she did. I'm allowed my opinion.
What was the abuse?
How dare you, shouting at adults.
That's not abuse, though, is it?
OK, whatever. We disagree.
How dare you?
One, Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old girl with autism, becoming the face of all this and screaming abuse at adults and terrifying kids. I don't think that helps particularly. And secondly, I don't like...
Hang on, it's not screaming abuse.
Relax, skinny boy. I got this, okay? You're attacking a child. You're a grown man. Have some cool. She's trying to save the planet because your president doesn't believe in climate change, and kids need to take to the streets to worry about their future. You are despicable for talking to her about her like that, and you should apologize on national television.
OK, whatever. We disagree. But also, these protests are causing so much disruption and financial hardship to traders in Smithfield and so on. I've got a real problem with that.
I have as well. And so it's always the working people who have to suffer, because all these nice middle-class people, these champagne socialists doing what they're doing in central London. A friend of mine has come on, he sent me a message saying, this has cost me 200 quid. He can't afford £200. It's the people at the bottom. And it's not, the working people always suffer because the police get dragged in. Because of this, you saw it takes 6 officers to take 1 person away. That's not been violent, because imagine if you had to drag your granny down the stairs if she doesn't want to go. It takes 6 people to carry 1. Now, all those officers are dragged in from all over London.
So they're not fighting knife crime as long as they're doing it?
They're not fighting burglary, not doing drug dealing. So if you live on an awful council estate where crime is crime-ridden, you're losing those officers because they're dragged in to do this.
They've really shot themselves in the foot, to be fair. A lot of people getting public transport as opposed to getting their own transport.
You guys are not the target. We're so sorry.
Altogether, 3 trains were halted by rooftop protests.
People at the station aren't very happy here, you can see.
cameraman who was streaming live pictures of the protest also became a target as passengers lost patience.
A man in a red jacket was punching in the face a woman who was a commuter, also disrupted, who was calling on him to stop his violence. And that was the most shocking moment of the morning for me.
Altogether, 8 people were arrested, among them the Reverend Sue Parfitt, an Anglican priest.
By contrast, this Extinction Rebellion event at Gatwick Airport is being tolerated by both airport officials and the police, because although they're handing out leaflets, they're not disrupting any passengers' journeys.
They said Extinction Rebellion as a whole had voted against halting trains. The group acknowledged it had been divisive.
I'm not condoning the action. XR will not condone that action. But I know what's in their heart and why they were motivated to do it. And I feel a little sorry for them because they got themselves...
You feel sorry for the passengers as well, though?
Oh, of course I do. As I said, if I was on that train, any of these disruptions, yeah, I would be angry.
It's always the working people who have to suffer, because all these nice middle-class people, these champagne socialists doing what they're doing in central London. A friend of mine has come on, he sent me a message saying, this has cost me 200 quid. He can't afford £200. It's the people at the bottom. And it's not, the working people always suffer because the police get dragged in because of this.
I feel a little sorry for them.
The most important thing that we can do for them is to get the hell out of their way.
Rebellion! Rebellion! Rebellion!
Right to rebel against.
I'm just a father of 2 children that's very frightened of their futures.
How old are your children?
They're 10 months and 4 years.
Can you see a picture? Those are the picture of your children?
Yeah.
Stirring all over the world. They are the young people whom, frankly, we have failed, who are angry, who are organized, who are capable of making a difference. They are a moral army. And the most important thing that we can do for them is to get the hell out of their way.
I feel a little sorry for them.